Welcome to IJ Forums. I'm Dick Spotswood, politics and government columnist for the Marin Independent Journal. Today our topic is the homeless in downtown San Rafael. For those who live and work in downtown San Rafael, folks that are sometimes called street people, others say the homeless, are an everyday fact of life that has become part of downtown San Rafael. It's been a struggle for the business community and the San Rafael Police Department to address this situation. I'm delighted to have with us today San Rafael's Police Chief, Diana Bishop. Chief Bishop, welcome to IJ Forums.
Thank you, it's nice to be
here.
So
the San Rafael Police Department is in the middle of everything. What challenges does the San Rafael Police Department face when dealing with the local homeless population?
It's an everyday challenge, and especially in our downtown. As you know, we want downtown to be a welcoming place and safe, and people want to come here. So we have a lot of officers and a lot of resources who are downtown to deal with the behaviors of some of the homeless folks who hang out in our downtown, but it's an uphill battle.
And also you have situations in the hills as well as downtown?
We do. We have a lot of campsites, we have beautiful open space in Marin, as you know, so we have a lot of folks who want to get out of the way and set up some camps, which becomes a fire danger, a health hazard because of stuff left behind. So we have two park rangers who diligently, proactively look for those campsites where people can call in and let us know where they are.
So what's the department doing to address the challenge?
Well, right now we have 3 officers who are our downtown footbeat folks whose primary focus is in our downtown corridor.
Foot patrolmen?
They're foot patrol officers, but they ride bikes, so it's kind of a misnomer on their title. And they are partnered with our mental health outreach provider, which is an MFT. Her name's Lynn Murphy, who is charged with establishing relationships with folks in the downtown who perhaps are mentally ill and getting them into services and working with our service providers to getting them help and have their behavioral issues not affect our downtown.
In the past couple of years, I know the challenge has been an increased homeless population. Is the San Rafael Police Department's efforts making progress? If so, how?
It depends on which day you ask me that. I mean, we get some small victories, but it's overwhelming. We have, I think, probably a core of maybe 75 to 100 folks who are in our downtown area generally, who are homeless. Not all of them are on our radar in that they don't cause problems at all. They're just doing their thing. But there's probably maybe 35 to 50 of them who we have contact with, if not on a daily basis, then certainly on a weekly basis because of substance abuse issues, mental health issues, behavioral issues such as fighting or things like that. So we do an enforcement piece to assist with law enforcement and the homeless in downtown, but it's really not a law enforcement issue. It's a society issue that everyone needs to work together to have some wins.
The police are kind of stuck in a position of being the only person between the homeless and authority, if you will. But as you say, maybe it's not a police problem.
Some of it is certainly, but I would say the high percentage is not. And we're trying to figure out ways to work smarter with the resources we have to find better results for the folks who want help. Some do not, some do, and we want to concentrate on the habitual homeless who have a path to get off the streets.
The business community has complained. How are they working with you?
We meet with the BID and the Chamber of Commerce quite often to hear their concerns, and they certainly have valid concerns. They are trying to see if we can step up patrols or what they can do to assist us with monitoring behaviors downtown. It's a challenge for them. We can throw tons of officers and tons of money at this problem, but until certain systems are fixed, we will get nowhere.
How are you working with the homeless community providers? I'm thinking of places like St. Vincent Paul Society and Ritter House.
We have a really good relationship with both of those entities. I think when you sit down with someone and see what your real goals are and what your purposes are, they turn out to be the same, which is to help people. That's what we want to do. That's what they want to do, and we realize that we need their assistance to help us. For example, if we have someone who's a major problem downtown, we're arresting. They have no regard for society or the public. We can have one of those two entities help us in either denying services for a while to have them understand there's consequences to their actions that are outside of law enforcement.
Chief Bishop, thank you. It's really, the challenge is clear, and it's really good to hear that the San Rafael Police Department is being proactive in a situation which impacts everybody, including the homeless. Thanks for being on IJ Forums.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
I'm Robert Sterling, editor of the Marin Independent Journal. Homelessness is a complicated topic. The IJ has written a lot about it. We have both articles and editorials on our website, marinij.com, and I invite you to go to our site and check it out. And I also want to thank you for watching IJ Forums.
Welcome back to IJ Forums. I'm Dick Spotswood. This week, IJ Forums topic is the homeless in downtown San Rafael. And with me are two people who are intimately familiar with the situation on a day-to-day basis. An old friend, Christine Paquette, General Executive Director of the St. Vincent de Paul Society of Marin County. And a person I read every day, Hugo Landecker, been a resident of Marin County for 45 years and is now a community activist focusing on the topic of today, the homeless in San Rafael. Christine.
Yes.
Where do these folks come from? The chief had just said that we have maybe 75 to 90 people who form the chronic homeless, and maybe a core group that she deals with of maybe half that.
Right.
What's the origin? Are they local folks? Are they coming from out of
Right.
county? What's the story?
Primarily local folks. When we do our surveys, because we do want to know the answers to those questions, we come out with about 70% of the people that we see as chronically homeless downtown were living in Marin, sheltered in Marin when they became homeless.
Hugo, am I correct? In the last year or two, there's been an increase in the number of homeless in downtown San Rafael?
Yes, I believe that, and downtown merchants are seeing it also. They keep seeing the newcomers coming into our downtown and on a daily basis, and they have a front row seat on what's going on in town, and they see it, and they can say, "Oh, yeah, there's a new guy. I haven't seen him before." So that's their perspective.
I can say that, as Christine knows, I volunteered in the past years at the dining room, and I asked myself the question, what's the cause? What brings these folks to become homeless? And I have come to my own conclusions, but I'm really curious what you guys would suggest. Hugo.
Well, I might be different than Christine, but nevertheless, I think it's the services. So I think that's why we're attracting them to San Rafael. We have climate, we have services, multiple things. And when somebody's homeless, living on the streets, everything that they need is free in San Rafael, except the housing element.
What the cause, though? My experience was that many of them are substance abusers. We have folks that are psychologically disturbed. I mean, what's your belief as to the fundamental motivating factor that puts these folks on the street?
Many of them have a lack of ability to get into the workaday world. They don't have the skills. We already talked about the mentally ill. They should be housed. The high cost of housing is it's devastating to so many people, particularly the elderly. And I hate to see elderly walking around our town during the day carrying everything they own. They've been beaten down, and they need to be housed.
Christine, the cause, the fundamental, what was the precipitating factor that you found that puts many of these folks on the streets?
Well, first, of course, homelessness is a national problem. So if you look at the national scope, it is several things. One is the very high cost of housing. So in areas like New York and California, and high cost of housing places, you're going to see more homeless people. In addition, there are the issues of mental health and addiction. Those are brain disease issues, and as a nation, we have not done a good enough job of helping those folks in the very practical ways that we need to in order to keep them safe and in order to benefit our communities. I agree with Hugo that the issue of seniors becoming homeless is especially important in Marin County, where we have so many seniors, 20,000 seniors living under the poverty level. I think at the St. Vincent de Paul Society, our mission is homelessness prevention. So Last year we visited 1,300 homes to help people who are facing eviction not become evicted. So many of those folks are seniors, so we're working really hard to keep those people from becoming homeless. But that's our next tsunami of homeless folks here locally.
But those folks are the precariously housed.
They are.
That's the proper term for it.
They are.
They're very different, though, just from my own experience. They're very different from the chronic homeless
Correct.
that we're going to see in downtown San Rafael.
Right. And the chronic homeless is really about addiction and mental health disorders.
So we're talking about those folks, the proper term to say chronic homeless?
Yes, it
right?
is.
Is that the term we should all be on the same game page?
Sure.
Yes,
Okay.
that's correct.
So St. Vincent de Paul is a prominent provider. You run the free dining room
Yes.
on B Street. You have parish conferences which go out and assist the precariously housed. What's St. Vincent de Paul's practical day-to-day approach to this situation?
Well, an individualized approach has been shown nationally and locally to have the best effect. So we literally know each person. When Chief Bishop talks about 40 or 50 people downtown, I know those folks by name.
Really?
I know their life story. I'm a Redwood graduate. Some of them are Redwood graduates. They're Terra Linda graduates. They're Tam High graduates. They're also private school graduates. So these are folks that have had battles with mental illness and or addiction, usually both, since their late teens. And so some still have family in the area. But I think that anyone who's struggled with mental health and addiction in their own families understands that it's a very complex issue. Our primary focus is to get those folks housed. They need to be housed. They're dying on our streets. It's very sad. It's very, very problematic. And I believe that the police officers would agree with me, as they know these folks by name also.
Hugo, it seems like what the chief's saying and Christine's now saying, and I'm just curious if you agree, we've kind of defined the population. Is Christine correct about that, that there's a core group of maybe 40, 60, something like that, chronic homeless in downtown San Rafael? And if that's correct, what do you see as the best way to address that problem?
Well, there's another problem, and I call this the next generation. They are not homeless yet, and I think they're young, and they're going to get into the job market. They're going to graduate from high school. We got to look at that group. So what we're trying to do right now is fix those that are broken, already broken. You need to go the next step back. So, yeah, we need to move ahead on this. It's what we see in town is the impact of homelessness on the neighborhoods, the parks. It's everywhere, and until we conquer this, and I do have a solution, but that'll probably come later in the meeting.
No, it'll come now.
Oh my God!
Yeah, because if you have a solution, we want to hear the solution. And I know that the Chief Bishop and the department is doing their best to meet the challenge. I know the providers are doing what they can, but I think the public generally thinks, gee, things aren't getting that much better. What's the solution, Hugo?
Well, you're exactly right. I see it this way. We are attracting more and more homeless to San Rafael. They're coming from all over, and I always think, if I was homeless, would I want to live in the Tenderloin in San Francisco or the worst of Richmond or those places? No, I'm coming to San Rafael. It's good here. We've got everything. Now, my solution is we got to get Ritter Center and St. Vincent's to get away from the downtown. Now, I've got a solution for this. The Sonoma Developmental Center up in Sonoma County, it's the former Sonoma State Hospital, currently housing 400 people. It's scheduled to close at the end of 2018. It's owned by the state of California. It's situated on 2.5 square miles of land. It's already built. They have housed over 1,200 people in the past, and I'm not sure, maybe even more than that prior to 10 years ago. This offers a Rolls-Royce chance to solve the problems of the homeless. And what I propose is we have a regional facility that the homeless can go to, take care of their problems, and then maybe transition back into communities. So a lot of people say, well, oh my gosh, you're going to send the homeless to Sonoma County? They don't want them. You know what? This is a state-operated facility. The state of California needs to step up. And I have communicated this proposal to the state Senate, the state Assembly, and the Board of Supervisors. They all need to work together. That's not happening.
Christine, Hugo's suggesting I think it would be fair to say, a 21st century form of state mental hospitals. A lot of us think that perhaps it was a great error in 1970 when the Lantrum-Petrus Short Act closed all the hospitals, closed most of the hospitals. It took two parties to do that, by the way. Everybody says one party, the other did it. It took two great parties to screw up this country. Christine, is that an answer? Or is that a solution? Or is it part of a solution? Or is it wrong?
Well, I think that absolutely I agree with Hugo that this is going to take a lot of parties coming together. The approach that we are looking at in Marin County is Marin County based. I know for a fact that the Sonoma supervisors aren't especially interested in helping us with our homelessness problem. They certainly have their own issues. The program that we're looking at and we're starting to model is the HOT program, which is in San Mateo. It stands for Homeless Outreach Team, and it is a true coming together of every high-level person that has a stake in not only the issue but in the solution. So people at Health and Human Services, the police department, the agencies, psych emergency coming together and again doing the individualized approach where they're looking at one person who's probably been bounced around from place to place in their years of being homeless in Marin, and looking at creating a list and saying that each one of those people really needs to have a roof over their head, they need to have their daily medication, they need the wraparound services that will keep them housed, which is best for their health and also for the community. So that's what we're starting now. We think it's going to work. We already had a beginning hot meeting and already came up with some solutions for folks. So I believe that we can make great strides in Marin County. We're also looking at a model in Sonoma County, which is called coordinated entry, and that's ensuring that folks that have the highest need, and those are indeed the chronically homeless that are in downtown San Rafael, get services first. Right now our system is this sort of fly-by-night, first come, first serve. It really doesn't work to serve the folks that are the hardest to help. We need to help those people first and not kind of let them bounce around like we have as a community. So we're really looking forward to starting those programs, and we expect to see some success. In San Mateo, they house 60 people in an 18-month period with this HOT team model.
Whether or not it's a location in Sonoma that such as Hugo mentioned up past El Verano and Glen Ellen, or it's here in Marin, it sounds like that we're going to need some kind of facility. If you're talking about housing these folks. Alex Easton Brown, who's a candidate for the 4th District Supervisor, suggested that there be a facility at the Marin Commons site, which I thought was quite interesting. The sheriff is also located there.
Right.
Do you need some type of facility? And if so, where?
Yeah, I think that the idea of a facility is an interesting one, and certainly St. Vincent's would be interested in knowing more about it. I think the answer, and this has been proven on a national model, is just housing. So we don't want homeless folks, but we don't want to have any housing. That is where we are right now, and that's why we're seeing this homeless problem in San Rafael. We don't want homeless folks, we all agree, I agree, but we also don't want housing created or built or made for folks that need it. People who are on disability, making $880 a month, they can't survive. They end up living on our streets. So whether it's a campus idea, which is interesting, or it's more scattered sites, whatever it takes, we need to have a plan, and we need to have, I believe, a community agreement that something needs to be done, or we're going to just continue to have homeless people living on our streets.
If we've kind of got a consensus that this core group of chronic homeless are fundamentally have substance abuse problems, psychologically disturbed. They're sick. Most folks are going to say, not in my neighborhood.
Correct.
Therefore, why not a county-provided, state-provided, some type of subsidized place, not only where they can live, but perhaps get some of the treatment that's obviously lacking.
Sure. That
So
would be
that's not a crazy
fantastic.
idea.
No, I don't think it's a crazy idea at all.
Funding, of course, is the great.
Well, yeah, to make it happen, exactly. So it would take a lot of effort and commitment, and again, finding the place, finding the neighborhood.
Money and location.
Sure,
But if you had the money and location, not a bad idea.
we'd be thrilled.
Hugo, if you had the money and location, good idea?
Certainly. And this facility in Sonoma County is already built. It doesn't get any better than that. And it's a hospital environment currently. It has housing also. Homeless could go there for substance abuse treatment. They go there for mental treatment. They can go there for vocational training. They even have things like a pipe shop, a plumbing shop, a machine shop, all kinds of shop facilities. Formerly, they did vocational training there. And situated on 2.5 square miles of land, we don't have anything like that in Marin. And this, like I say, this offers the Rolls-Royce opportunity for a total new look at how do we treat the homeless. Now, we get back to the situation of Ritter Center and St. Vincent's. What I say is, if you want help, you go there. If you don't have help, we don't have anything to offer you in San Rafael. And I'm sorry, we got the people that are going to get hurt by this are those that are on the fringe, not homeless, but not, they're right on precariously housed. That's a good description. The other alternatives to have Ritter Center and St. Vincent's serve those that are on the fringe, and I do like that idea. But the homeless, they need to go somewhere else, and that would get our downtown back to where it should be.
San Rafael's Mayor Gary Phillips, who's spent an extraordinary amount of time on this topic, and I know that, has complained that San Rafael is the homeless provider of Marin County, not the other 10 communities or the unincorporated areas. They all concentrate here. And I think that's probably because classically we're a classic county seat town, where the providers, government, and all is headquarters. I mean, it's just Santa Rosa's like that, San Luis Obispo's like that. But it seems unfair to the folks in San Rafael. Is Phillips right? And if so, how do you address that?
Phillips is right. And I like Gary a lot. He's put a lot into this homeless problem. I know he never anticipated it would be so time consuming. It's with him every day. Everywhere he goes, he carries it with him. It's a terrible problem, and he's looking for solutions. So we got to get these people out of town. We in San Rafael are spending millions of dollars every year. I'm talking about city funds on the homeless problem. We don't get reimbursed from the other 10 communities, like you say. So this is on our dime, and that needs to change.
Christine, once again on the topic of San Rafael being the center of provision, Chief Bishop was saying to me before we went on the air that 30 to 40% of the calls that the San Rafael Police Department responds to relate to the homeless. San Rafael seems to be handling a disproportionate share of the dilemma. Is that right? And if so, how do you address it?
No doubt. I agree with Mayor Phillips and with Mr. Landecker. It's not fair. It puts too much of a burden on one city. I'm a homeowner in downtown San Rafael. I understand where people are coming from. I agree with them. The solution is to get these 40 people off of our streets. And we can say we can ship them somewhere else. Unlikely to happen. Also, there's a level of, because of civil liberties, there's a level that people need to agree to the care that you're willing to provide. Most of the folks that we work with are from Marin. They've never lived anywhere else. Again, their connection, their community, maybe a sister lives in town. They're not eager to go somewhere that they don't understand, that they don't know. There's a lot of fear involved. So to be able to make sure that they're safe, that they're not living on our streets. I want to make clear that a lot of these folks are very, very sick. Some have cancer. We have people who are on dialysis. We have folks that are blind. These are the people that we're talking about, and these are the people that do get the police calls. Those are the people that I just want residents to understand. That's what we're talking about. These are the people that we're very serious about getting housed and getting the care that they need, so that we can be a community that has compassion, as well as a community that's very practical. We want a downtown that's safe and happy, and where people are shopping and not feeling uncomfortable.
Well, and the interesting thing here is it seems like we've defined a problem and defined the folks involved. I mean, from what I hear, people actually know by name
Yes.
who the folks are. The
Absolutely.
Chief said this. I think you guys are aware of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
So, concern. You come up with a great solution. You mentioned this one that's been pioneered in San Mateo County.
Yes.
And you do it. You get the county involved. The city is already involved. The county is harder than the city sometimes involved. And you address those 50 people.
Right.
What's to prevent? And they're handled.
Yes.
God, you've done it. You know, you've done it. What's to prevent the next 50 from coming in, and next 50, and next 50,
Right.
and the vacuum attracts others.
Right.
Is that a problem?
Well, that would remain to be seen, of course. We are feeling, and what has happened in San Mateo is they do not have a homeless problem in downtown San Mateo anymore. So
We're talking about the city of San Mateo.
yes,
Yeah.
and so I mean that's that again a good model for us, because the demographic is very similar, the size, average rent, the cost of living, very similar. When they got those 60 people off the street, it made a profound difference. Now, once you get that done, of course, then you can look at other things that you can do to prevent people from coming in. We don't help people that don't have a Marin ID in our shelter programs.
Really?
Or no. We do not. Not in our shelter programs. We send a lot of people back to their original place. We will do that. So last year we sent 100 people out of Marin County back to mom, sister, a
There's
job
name
out
for
of
that
town.
program. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, well, it's the rapid rehousing,
Okay.
and we do a lot of rapid rehousing help for homeless folks. So we do have systems in place to make sure that people who think they're just going to come into town and make a go of it on our streets, it's not going to happen that way. That's certainly not what we're here for. The St. Vincent de Paul Society of Marin County is here for Marin County residents. Those are the people that we're here to help.
You go this thing in San Mateo, a hot team. What do you call
Yes.
it? Hot team. Have you heard about that? If so, is it working?
Well, yes, they sell it as very successful. I was at the same meeting that Christine was at, and my impression is in San Rafael and in Marin County, we have a lot of services for the homeless. So we're trying to house them. We got the Marin Housing Authority. We got various programs. That's good. But it's like, are we not doing anything currently? I say we are. We're doing a lot of things to get homeless to move on to the next step of their lives. So I think that maybe the program has some merits, but I'm not too sure that my correspondence with some others are saying, this is kind of just a rehash of what we got already. It's a little different twist, but I'm all for anything that works. I'm all for solutions. And the problem with homelessness is there are a lot of solutions. There's not one solution. It just goes on and on forever.
I walked in the studio this morning. We're in downtown San Rafael, and I saw two members of the street team working, cleaning the street. Is that a successful program?
Very successful.
And that's set up by the city, though, not the county, but the city of San Rafael. Am I right?
The city
program?
pays for part of the funding.
Okay.
Yes, and as well as some other entities also help fund it. So I think it's a very successful program, and the numbers are there. It shows that it can work. It's motivational. Motivational is very important to moving away from homelessness.
Street team's working, Christine?
Street team is excellent. Just remember that most of those folks remain homeless. So a lot of them spend the night in our rotating shelter program. We love those folks. It's a great program, but people remain homeless, and that's important to understand.
Those are the most likely to be housed, though, are they not? I mean, they seem to be starting a transition if they had locations.
Well, but they need income. So even to get a job in Marin County, a service job, you're going to stay homeless. We have many men in our rotating shelter program who work. They work all day long, and then they take our shuttle and they sleep on a church floor at night. So it's, there's no magic formula, unfortunately. I think that what we're doing now that we are going to do better is we are going to absolutely concentrate on these 40 people who are chronically homeless, who are staying downtown. And that's something that is new, and in terms of coming together, county resources, city resources, housing authority, and really deciding that is our priority.
Well, Christine, and Hugo, at least we've defined the program. We've defined the problem. Now we've
Yes.
just got to solve the problem.
Absolutely.
And we're making progress, but it's
Yes.
slow but sure, hopefully.
Call us again.
Christine Brigette, Hugo Landacker, thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
being on IJ Forums. I'm Dick Spotswood. This week, homeless in San Rafael with some great experts, and Chief of Police Diane Bishop has been our guest. Thank you.